Welcome to Lesson 7 of Introduction to Botany, and this episode is going to be about plant diversity and the need for classification. There are hundreds of thousands of plant species. Plants vary widely in structure, like leaves, stem, and textures, reproductive strategies, and the uses to humans, like in food, medicine, or toxins. Humans classify plants to communicate information clearly, distinguish edible versus dangerous species, and organize biological knowledge in general. Classification systems are human-constructed and still extremely useful for plant science and conservation. So what defines a plant? Well, all modern plants share a common ancestor, and that ancestor is a green algae that lived over 500 million years ago. Now, plants also have specific defining characteristics, like with multicellular embryos. To start, plants begin life as a zygote, or a fertilized egg, and that zygote develops into multicellular embryo. That embryo contains early forms of roots, stems, and leaves, and those seeds contain these embryos and support early development. Now, there's also another defining characteristic of plants, and that's the alternation of generations. Plants have a life cycle that alternates between diploid sporophytes, which produce spores, and haploid gametophytes, which produce gametes. And this involves both sexual reproduction via gametes or asexual reproduction via spores. This increases genetic diversity and adaptability. There's also taxonomy versus systematics. Taxonomy is a science of naming, describing, and classifying organisms. It provides a shared scientific language, and it uses standardized rules, like the Linnaean system. An example would be sunflower is called Helianthus annuus. And closely related organisms share similar scientific names, like solanum with nightshades. In systematics, you have the study of evolutionary relationships among organisms, which focuses on common ancestry and evolutionary history. This incorporates living organisms, fossil evidence, and molecular DNA data. And the relationship between the two? Well, taxonomy emphasizes characteristics, and systematics emphasizes evolutionary relationships. Together, they organize biological diversity and reveal patterns of evolution. And the importance of classification is that it helps scientists track evolutionary relationships, inform conservation strategies, and communicate discoveries globally. Classification systems can change with new information, too. A good example would be with Inez Mejia, and she was a Mexican-American botanist that discovered and classified over 500 different new plant species. Over 50 of those species were named in her honor. This demonstrates that taxonomy is ongoing and dynamic. There's also a lot of indigenous taxonomic knowledge. Indigenous cultures often have detailed plant classification systems based on long-term observation, ecological interactions, and practical uses. These systems may align with Western taxonomy and reveal distinctions Western science overlooked. A good case study would be of Artocarpus trees in Borneo. Western botanists classified two different fruit trees as one species, but indigenous groups, and I apologize if I butcher the name, were Iban and Dusun. They recognized them as distinct based on traits in ecology, and DNA analysis confirmed two genetically distinct species, and this shows value of integrating indigenous knowledge with molecular data. And there's a lot of different concept of what a species is, even though there's no really single perfect definition of a species. There's biological species concept, and this is where a species, which equals organisms that can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. But the limitations of this is that it can't apply to asexual organisms and hybrid species that can be fertile. Then you have the phylogenetic species concept, and this is where a species equals organisms sharing a common evolutionary lineage. This is based on ancestry and evolutionary history, but the limitations of this is that complete evolutionary histories are often unknown. Then you have the ecological species concept, and this is where a species equals organisms adapted to the same ecological niche. But the limitations are that many species occupy multiple environments during their life cycle. Now, the key idea of plant diversity is that species concepts are tools. Don't use them as absolute rules. And nature doesn't really conform neatly to human-made categories. If you could take away anything from this, is that plants share a common algae ancestor defined by multicellular embryos and alternation of generations. Taxonomy and systematics organize biological diversity and reflect both traits in evolutionary history. And species definitions vary and are imperfect. Classification systems evolve as knowledge improves, and human-made categories are flawed but essential for understanding biology. Thanks for watching this episode, and I hope to see you in more future episodes of this course. Altogether, I think I'm going to be making either 14 or 15 different episodes with this. If you want to subscribe, you can get updated on any kind of plant or botany content that I post in general.